So Joe Biden calls me into his office and he's like, "Did you do the hiring for the last administration?" And I'm there going, "Well, no. Well, actually, what happened was Don Jr. started doing the hiring and then there was an incident. So I took over. So what does that have to do with anything?" And he's saying, "Well, I'm looking over a lot of the resumes of people hired by the last administration and I'm noticing a lot of JSU." I'm like, "Well, what's wrong with graduating from JSU?" He's like, "Well, I'm not sure where JSU is. I thought it was Jackson State University, so I started talking to people about Jackson, Mississippi, and no one knew what I was talking about. So then I thought, well, maybe it's Jacksonville State University. Started talking to people about Jacksonville, and people didn't know what I was talking about. So I'm trying to figure out, what is JSU? And is this a problem? And is JSU just code for Trump University? Because we can't have a bunch of Trump University folk working here." I'm like, "Yeah. Well, the good news and the bad news. The good news is JSU is not Trump University." So he's like, "Well, what's the bad news?" "Well, JSU stands for Jerry Springer University." He was like, "Oh, Jerry Springer has a university?" Yeah, I was like, "Yes, it's an online thing. But they are building a campus according to the website." He's like, "Well, where are they building the campus? I haven't seen anything in the Department of Education database." "They're building the campus on Mars." Mars? They're trying to build a campus on Mars. That's what their website says. And where is this website? I tried Googling JSU, nothing came up. I just tried Googling Jerry Springer University, nothing came up. Where's this website? "Oh, that's because you use Google." Well, what's wrong with using Google? The website can only be accessed from the dark web. The dark web, where pretty much a bunch of criminals congregate and do business. I was like, "Yeah, but you have no place to talk." He's like, "What do you mean I have no place to talk?" I was like, "You're a member of Congress. That's a place where a bunch of people congregate and do business. A lot of criminals are in Congress. Don't tell me I'm lying." So he looked at me and he was like, "Yeah, that's a good point." "So we gonna fire all these people from Jerry Springer University?" I'm like, "That wouldn't be a good idea." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Look at their performance reviews. People from graduate from Jerry Springer University usually know that there's a negative connotation with Jerry Springer, so they usually work harder to defy that stereotype. Look at the performance reviews." So he started going through, and he's like, "Yeah, they're all good. Some of the best people." So I'm like, "See, you don't want to fire them anyways. Plus, that could hurt you in 2024 when Jerry Springer runs for president, because he's being courted." I'm like, "Biden's running for president? Wait a minute. I don't know if I'm running for president in 2024. I'm going to be the Democratic nominee. Trump's probably going to be the Republican nominee. Who the hell's courting Jerry Springer for president?" "Yeah, because you're running for president of the United States," I said. "So what's Jerry Springer for running for or being courted for?" And he got a little attitude too. I'm like, "Well, Jerry Springer's being courted as running for president of the universe." He's like, "There's a president of the universe?" "Yep, and they want Springer." "How do you know this?" "Well, if you go to the farmer's market over at Area 51, all it is Jerry Springer signs everywhere. Plus, Jerry Springer shows is universal. So you don't want to piss that man off just in case he wins." So Biden's like, "Okay, we'll keep them." But what was this incident with John Jr.? And how does it have to do with Jerry Springer University? Well, Don Jr. was only hiring people from Jerry Springer University. He wasn't hiring people from any other university in America, just Jerry Springer. That's why I had to step in, because we didn't want to get a lawsuit for deceptive hiring practices. So that's why we have so many Jerry Springer University graduates. I was like, yep. Lucky they're all good workers. I was like, yep. So what am I supposed to do about this? I was like, I don't think there's anything to do. I mean, they're good workers, great performance reviews. We're keeping Jerry Springer happy. I don't see a problem. He's like, well, okay, you've made your point. Thanks for the information. So I got up and walked out because I didn't want him to do anything crazy after that.